You think of lying as something shameful, modern, corrupting, but the first lie wasn't a moral failure, it was an act of love. And it happened roughly 400,000 years ago in the dark when a mother looked at her starving infant and did the most human thing imaginable. She smiled. That smile was the lie. The breast she offered held nothing. No milk, no comfort. But the child needed to believe there was something there, because hope is the only thing that keeps a starving body from giving up. So, she smiled. And in that smile, your species was born. The reason is stranger than you think. And it starts with a skull found in 1856. That skull belonged to a Neanderthal. For over a century, scientists assumed Neanderthals were brutish, dim, incapable of the kind of mental maneuvering that lying requires. They were wrong. The skull told a different story. It had a brain volume equal to or larger than yours, which means whatever your brain can do, lie, imagine, strategize, theirs could too. They weren't cavemen. They were you, just older, just colder, just as capable of looking at someone and offering a smile that meant nothing. But here's what changed everything about how we understand that smile. The real breakthrough didn't come from skulls. It came from babies, 21-month-old toddlers. Researchers at the University of Cambridge watched children play a simple game. The adult would hide a toy under one of two cups, the child would watch, and then the adult would be told not to look while the child moved the toy. The child's job was to mislead. And here's what happened. Most of them lied. Not clumsily, not by accident. They looked directly at the adult. They knew the adult believed the toy was under the wrong cup, and they deliberately shaped that belief. This isn't instinct. This is calculation. The child's brain was doing something no other animal on Earth can do. It was holding two versions of reality at once, what was true and what someone else believed, and it was choosing which one to feed. That choice is the lie. And it appeared before most children could even form a complete sentence. Which raises the question, if lying is this fundamental, this early, this wired into human development, what does that mean for the kind of creature you are? The answer comes from a man named Dunbar. He spent decades studying primates, tracking brain size against social group size, looking for a pattern. What he found was unsettling. The bigger the social group, the bigger the neocortex. Not the whole brain. Just the neocortex, the outer layer responsible for abstract thought, language, and modeling other minds. Dunbar calculated a number. A maximum group size your brain can honestly manage. 150. Not more. Not less. And he called it Dunbar's number. But here's the twist no one expected. The neocortex didn't expand to help you hunt better or navigate terrain or remember where the fruit trees grew. It expanded because of a single devastating pressure, keeping track of who was lying to whom. Every additional neuron paid for one thing: social deception. Your intelligence isn't a tool for understanding the world. It's a tool for surviving the people in it. That should make you uncomfortable, because it means your capacity for truth and your capacity for lies grew from the same place. They share the same neural hardware, the same evolutionary origin. You can't have one without the other. Then, researchers looked at other primates, and what they found turned the entire story upside down. Frans at Emory University watched chimpanzees lie, not sometimes, routinely. A subordinate male would make eye contact with a female, then deliberately look toward a dominant male who was approaching, as if signaling danger. The female would bolt. The subordinate male would follow her, alone. The lie worked because the dominant male was too simple-minded to process that anyone would deceive him. The subordinate knew this. He exploited it. Every single time. Duvall documented dozens of these episodes: pretended interest, false alarms, strategic eye contact. These weren't accidents. They were engineered social manipulations, performed by creatures with brains a third of yours, using tools far cruder than language. Lying didn't wait for speech. Lying waited for nothing. It arrived the moment a social animal realized that another mind could be shaped. But the deepest revelation came from someone studying the most vulnerable creatures of all. Sarah Blaffer, HRDY, at UC Davis, spent her career studying infanticide in primates. Male lions kill cubs. Langur monkeys do the same. And the females, the mothers, are not helpless. HRDY documented that female langurs developed elaborate deception strategies. They would feign sexual interest in dominant males who had no interest in them. They would form false alliances. They would manipulate the social hierarchy to make themselves appear less vulnerable. These weren't panic responses. They were calculated performances. Females understood something the males didn't. They understood that appearance could be weaponized. HRDI's work forced the field to confront an uncomfortable truth. Females didn't evolve larger brains because they were nurturing. They evolved larger brains because they were strategizing, because the world they lived in required them to outthink creatures stronger than them. Lying wasn't a corruption of their nature. It was the engine of it. And that changes everything you thought you knew about compassion. Because the Neanderthal mother smiling at her starving child wasn't being deceptive for power. She was being deceptive for survival. She was protecting hope, and hope is a neurological state. It's the belief that tomorrow will be better than today. Remove that belief and the body shuts down, the immune system collapses, the heart stops trying. So, she lied, not to control, to sustain. This is the pattern that repeats through every century of human history, the lie that saves. Truth that destroys. The moment when honesty becomes cruelty and deception becomes mercy. Your grandmother told you she was fine when she wasn't. Your partner asked if you looked different and you said yes, even when you didn't know. You told your boss you were passionate about the project, even when you were exhausted, because passion is what keeps you employed, and employment is what keeps your children fed. Every one of those moments traces back to that smile, that first calculated act of love. But then comes the question that should keep you awake. If lying is this ancient, this necessary, this woven into the very fabric of what makes you human, how do you know anyone is ever truly honest? Not just other people, yourself. The answer is simple and it should frighten you. You don't. You can't. The same brain that allows you to lie to protect someone is the brain that allows you to lie to yourself. Cognitive scientists call it self-deception. It's not a bug. It's a feature. When you convince yourself you're fine, your body believes you. Your stress hormones drop. Your immune system strengthens. You survive longer. The lie heals. But healing requires the lie to work. And the lie only works if you believe it, which means the most dangerous liar you will ever encounter is the one looking back at you in the mirror. Robin Dunbar predicted this. He showed that the human neocortex is large enough to maintain 150 genuine relationships. But it's also large enough to maintain 150 elaborate fictions. Every friendship, every marriage, every professional alliance contains at least one lie. Not always malicious, not always conscious, but present. The lie that smooths the conversation, the omission that protects the feeling, the performance that keeps the peace. And here's the final revelation, the one that should reframe everything you thought you knew about your own nature. The first lie was also the first act of civilization, because civilization doesn't rest on truth. It rests on shared fiction. Money is a lie we all agree to believe. Borders are lies drawn in sand. Nations are lies held together by stories. Every institution you depend on, every hospital, every school, every government runs on fictions that everyone accepts as real. The moment those fictions collapse, civilization collapses with them. So, the smile your ancestor offered her child wasn't just compassion. It was architecture. It was the first brick in a structure that would eventually hold billions of lives. The lie came first. Everything else came after. Which means honesty isn't the default state of humanity. It's the exception. The rare, fragile, almost unnatural moment when two minds choose to see each other clearly. Most of the time, you're navigating a world built on beautifully necessary fictions. And you're grateful for every one of them.